This is Reno Lovison, executive producer at ChicagoBroadcastingNetwork.com. I've always maintained that Chicago Broadcasting Network is not a hard news outlet because we simply don't have the resources to cover news citywide as it's happening. However, sometimes a hard news story finds you. Today, as I drove my usual route eastbound on Foster toward DuSable Lakeshore Drive, I noticed police cars and crime tape around the BP station at Broadway. I was immediately concerned because I have friends associated with that station, so I stopped to see what was happening. Here's my on-the-scene report. I don't know what happened yet. What do you think? Can you just tell me what happened?
We don't know enough yet to even guess.
Was it a robbery or was it a carjacking or was it?
A person got shot, but we don't know enough to even tell you what the situation is. Right
Okay. And was it an employee or was it somebody here? Or? Okay, so
we got detectives coming out and all that.
Okay. So the story right now is someone got shot at the BP on Foster, but we don't really know what's happening. Okay.
Correct.
Great. Thanks. Hey, can you tell me what time roughly that was?
Maybe
about an hour ago. So
what time is it now? I don't even know.
About 2 o'clock.
I'd say about 1:45.
About 1:45, about 1:45, something like that. Okay, thanks. 12:45. Thank you. So what do you know? What happened?
So it was a shooting.
Okay.
So I work down the street.
Uh-huh.
I came out here to get cigarettes like I do pretty much every morning. And when I got here, I didn't see anything. As I was inside, apparently they started yelling at each other and pushing each other and got into a fight.
And who were they? Just
two dudes over. I didn't get a good view of them.
Okay.
Well, I got a good view of the guy who got shot when they put him in the ambulance. But I was in the store for the shooting, so I stayed in for a little bit. By the time I came back, there were ambulances, all kinds of cop cars. It was like all hands on deck. The guy who was shot was conscious. He was talking. I saw him sitting up as they put him in the back of the ambulance. He's wearing a green shirt, white guy, kind of blondish, shoulder length, straggly hair.
That was the person who got shot.
Yeah, but it didn't look like a fatal injury or whatever. He was talking, but I don't know where he got shot because I just saw him in the gurney as I came out.
Okay, so he seemed to be responsive when he got into the ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
he
cool.
He was sitting up, and I didn't see there was no blood at the scene.
Okay.
And he, like I said, he was wearing a bright green shirt. So I feel like I would have seen it if he got hit in the torso, but he definitely was talking when I saw him put in the ambulance. Really.
And who was the perpetrator? What do you know about him?
I don't know.
Well, what could you tell about him? Anything?
I didn't get a good glance at him at all. I was in the store when most of the actual ruckus went down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the one thing I didn't see.
Okay, cool. So trying to get the story, what's going on.
Did you see what happened, sir?
He says he does.
I didn't see the actual shooting itself. But I walked up here.
Give me 1 second. I gotta.
Yeah. So, and what kind? Was anybody driving? Did anybody have a car, or were these both people that were just on foot
here?
Just
on the sidewalk.
Okay. Does it seem like the person who was the perpetrator work here, or does somebody?
I didn't recognize him as anyone I'd seen, and I take this bus stop every single day and buy my cigarettes here every day too.
Okay,
get my coffee at the Dunkin'. So I didn't see him. I didn't see him very well, and since I didn't know him, you know what I mean. I didn't commit anything in memory.
Great. Do you want to be on the record? I mean,
sure.
Sure. What's your name?
Fletcher Smith.
Fletcher.
Yes.
And I'll just say works nearby.
Yeah, works nearby.
Okay. Cool. Gosh, anything else you could think of that was going down, or?
Not really too much.
Yeah.
Aside from.
And you were inside, right?
Yeah.
And then where did it take place?
The shooting itself?
Yeah.
Up near where that officer is standing now.
Oh, so it took place out on the street, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. So just out on. That's why it goes around like that. Okay. So out on the street. Okay, but we have no idea what what the cause was? Or?
From what I was told by people who were at this bus stop at the time, who left after, 'cause it's pretty freaky. They had gotten in a shouting match, which turned into a physical fight, and at that point, the one guy pulled out a handgun and shot him.
Okay.
But I don't know.
And again, you don't have any description of him, right? We don't really know what he looked like, but the impression was that he was on foot.
Yeah,
They're both on foot.
Yeah, the only reason I remember and know what the guy who was injured looks like is because I saw him get put in the ambulance. I stayed in the store after the shot for a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then he just took off running or something then? Or?
I guess so. I mean,
you didn't see it, so you don't really know what happened to him. He just vaporized.
I stayed in there, for a few minutes afterwards. Because by the time that I had come back out, police were starting to arrive, and the ambulance had arrived, and was starting to help the guy who's injured.
Okay. So. Do you know where they took him? Do you have any idea?
No, I have no idea.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, well, that's cool. Thanks for giving me that info.
It was a city ambulance, though. It wasn't one of those
City Chicago
ambulance. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. So the story is basically a shooting at the BP on the southwest corner of Foster and Broadway. It's unknown at this time who the perpetrator is and who the victim is. It seemed to begin with some kind of a fist fight or struggle that took place outside of the station, which escalated into a gunshot being fired and one victim being struck. And we don't know what the state of his well-being is at this moment. It's a shame that all too often these days, individuals resort to firearms to settle disputes. Certainly no one wants to be assaulted physically under any circumstances, but people seem to turn to the use of deadly force quickly and easily and with little thought or care for the sanctity of life. Reports of deadly violence permeates our nightly news. Sadly, even now it's found its way into our own news platform, which has been dedicated primarily to lifestyle reporting. But as I said at the top of this report, sometimes news finds you, and we can't turn a blind eye as violence and the threat of violence creeps closer and closer to home. I'm not sure that the solution is apparent. However, Illinois has recently taken steps to ban assault weapons, and nearly all of the candidates in the current mayoral election claim to be dedicated to reducing crime. In my opinion, there's no one-size-fits-all solution, but certainly access to social services for people who are lost in the cracks of society, job training, job placement, as well as conflict resolution training and access to mental health all play into our hope for more peaceful communities and more civil social interactions. We can't simply police our way out of this. Violence is at least partially a manifestation of hopelessness, a feeling of loss of control over one's life, and an inability to constructively communicate, which results in a lack of empathy, disregard for others, and generally antisocial behavior. About all we can do personally is support those individuals and entities who are actively seeking and implementing solutions to make our streets safer. Support common sense gun laws. Be sure to vote. Pay attention to the candidates you choose. Support those who are in line with your values, and on a practical level in the meantime, be vigilant, report suspicious activity, and steer clear of those who are acting erratically or creating a disturbance. Call for help and stay safe. This is Reno Lovis, an executive producer at Chicago Broadcasting Network, reminding you that the mayoral election and the election to choose city clerk, city treasurer, and aldermanic representatives across the city will be held on February 28, 2023. If no candidate wins more than 50% of the vote, a runoff election will be held April 4th. As always, if you enjoy the information we provide, please be sure to subscribe, like, or share this podcast or the link to our website. Thanks.
Foster Avenue, yes, I took it to